A favorite feature of many investigators inside the Crosstracks platform is the pre-written content. What is pre-written content? It's exactly that. It's content that has already been written and it's there for you to use in emails, reports, forms, letters, any document or content that you create out of the system or send out of the system, such as an email. If you generate a report, this pre-written content can be utilized to save you a ton of time. So first we're going to look at how you set up pre-written content and where it's located in the system. I'm going to click on Settings and then scroll down to the bottom in the Investigative Reports section, and we're going to click on the second one here, which is pre-written content. You'll see there are various sections related to pre-written content. You have email templates, which are configured in the pre-written content. You have content that is related to interviews, investigative details, pending investigations, preliminary facts and prep, summaries, surveillance reports, and telephonic communication. Now, these are all just sections of content that you can select from in different systems. It's a way of organizing your pre-written content. For example, if you want to create surveillance report entries that are standard or have common phrases that you use over and over, you'd want to put that content here in the surveillance report. If you want to customize an email template with pre-written content, you'd add that content here. You can also create different templates and you can edit them and view them, make them active, inactive as well. So let's look at adding pre-written content. Here, click on Add. This brings you to the screen, this title. Now, what is it? This title is for your reference. Whatever you want to call it so that you can remember it, know what it is, you can put that in there. The type is exactly that, the areas that we covered before. What area do you want to use this particular content in? And you can designate that here. The next is the content. What do you want to type? What do you want this particular content to say? What do you want it to do? You can create whatever content you'd like in this section. Let's say it's a report entry. You can go through and add the phrases that you use in your business for your types of investigations. If you want some content from a case to appear, those are in the variables section, which is right here on the left-hand side. If you click in here, this is a demo account, so it says variables not loaded. You'll be able to see that here in a second when we go over an actual piece of pre-written content. I'm going to click cancel and get out of this area. Okay, let's say I have an investigative entry that I want to edit. I'm going to say it's my initial entry right here. Some things have changed in my business and I want to add or edit this particular entry. This entry is the one that I use standard for my surveillance investigations. So my standard content is the investigator began or resumed, depending if it's day one or multiple days, surveillance at the claimant's residence located at, and then you see subject address, contact city, state, and zip. This is variables that the system is going to pull information from this case and put whatever information that is here in this particular content. And I'm going to show you that here in a minute. The next sentence is upon arrival, the following vehicles were present, and then I'm going to have the system put the subject's vehicles and list them here. No activity was observed, a stationary surveillance position was established, and then I could write on the route of departure or with a view of the residence or with a view of the location, whatever your case calls for. So just to show you, if you wanted to add, let's say at the end of this, I want to add the client's first name. I could put that here. You can see it comes up, contact's first name. You can add variety of variables or content from the case into this content. You have last name of the client, you have case information such as an attorney, an employer, case numbers, date the case was referred, the investigator that worked the case, the budget, and all of your custom fields that you enter into the system, those can be pulled into pre-written content as well. So here you have subject information. You could put their phone numbers, their address, their vehicles, their names, date of birth, any identifiers, a description, so on and so forth. So you can see there's a lot you can do with this particular pre-written content section. It really just depends on how you want it to go down and how you want it to operate for your business. So let's go to a case and see how this pre-written content configures into a case file. So here's the Freddie James Flintstone case that we've been working with throughout the tutorial series. I am going to add a report entry to this particular investigative file utilizing pre-written content. So I'm going to click on report entries, and I am going to click on my surveillance because I'm going to add my report. So I'm going to add a report entry. I'm going to click on this plus sign over here, and you'll see up at the top you have the ability to select from certain content here under the description. So I'm going to choose from the existing template. I'm going to choose initial entry, and as you can see, it pulled that information that we talked about before. In this particular case file, there was no subject address listed on the file and no state or zip, but it did pull the city. Here it took the vehicles and put those into the content, and I can then save this file or continue to write this report. But that's just one example. If I change this, I want to, let's say I have no change in activity, I can change that content to be reflected here below that entry. And if I want to keep going, let's say I'm continuing to write this report and I confirm the claimant was present, then I could add that and see here's more pre-written content that we've already set up in the system. So that's one example of how pre-written content can be beneficial in saving time and writing reports and forms, letters, whatever your business calls for. You can see here I put all this information in the system with 3 quick clicks. I didn't have to type a thing. All right, let's send an email from the system and show you how pre-written content affects that particular area. I'm back here on the case detail screen and I want to send an email to this contact. So I'm going to click on the I, which is for information, click on the email address, and then that's going to open my email send screen. Here in the template, I can select pre-written content that I've set up, and let's say it's the case updater email. I'm updating my client on this case. As you can see, all this information has been pulled from the system: the subject's name, the file number, the budget, and the budget remaining, as well as the person's injury. Then if you wanted to, you could go in here and just start typing, or you could even pull a case note update and have that automatically added to this particular update template. So you wouldn't have to cut and paste and do a lot of the other things that can be time consuming as you're trying to update a client. Another thing to point out is this content is also available in the app. And if you have investigators that use the app to write reports or provide updates on their cases, they can also utilize this pre-written content from the app. And you can get that from the iTunes or Google Play Store, and it's under Crosstracks. So just to recap, pre-written content is a feature that allows you to save a lot of time when you're creating documents or reports or forms. You start with your pre-written content and get that created on the settings page under investigative reports. Click on pre-written content. From there, you can designate the type of content that you want to create for emails, your investigative reports, your summaries, your surveillance reports, and any other section of the system. If you want to add pre-written content, click on the green button here. If you want to edit the content, you can click on the edit button. If you want to remove them, you can click the delete. You can also preview them by clicking on the eyeball. You can also make these active or inactive just by going into the edit, and let's say you don't use this one anymore, you want to stop using this one, you can do that as well. You can also organize how the pre-written content shows in the drop-down list by using this icon over to the right, and you can drag these up or down based on the priority or how often you use them, and it's really up to you. So utilize pre-written content inside of Crosstracks to save yourself and your investigators a ton of time. It'll also cut down on the editing time that it takes you to proofread investigator or staff documents, because this content is set. So if you have these phrases that you use over and over, you don't have to worry about investigators misspelling stuff or not using the standard content that you want them to use. So you deliver a more consistent product to your client on a more consistent basis.